You tried to convince me it was all in my head, and I felt like it's not you, it's me instead. I wanted to rock with you, roll with you. Said you was my baby girl, then you left me too. Everything was kosher, perfect like a poster. Then I got word that you wanna leave a picture. Off with somebody else, off with the jerk. With the shame on me, I really thought that it could work. Off with somebody else, off with the loser. Shame on me, I really thought we had a. Lately I'll be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. Yeah, lately I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having.
Ready up.
We need to listen to that. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. I want to still hear music in a ear.
Yeah, you got time, definitely.
That reach out there. Oh my God. That day. The reach out there. I believe. But that reach out. Good night, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful evening this evening. It's election night in America. It's too early to call. Yeah, on the ground. I mean, in Florida, you don't know, I in Trump country. Rastaman, on the other hand, he is in strong Democratic grounds over in California. Good evening, Rastaman. What's going on?
Greetings. I hear, but like I kind of, like the scripture say you're in the world, but not of the world. Cause like I'm here, but I'm really not into the politics. I know it's a big thing for the Americans and but not just Americans, cause America influenced the entire world. So everybody is really looking forward to what is going to happen. So for me personally, it's neither here or there, but um, yeah, I'm still looking forward to see what the end result would be. So tonight, I don't think we would be, even though we might be in two different states, I don't think we would be battling as you said, Trump versus Kamala, But yeah, it would be interesting to see what happens. When we're gonna find out, I mean, this is America, so by tonight, tomorrow morning, we should figure that out.
Listen, you right. And listen, I don't even gonna get to start off with the heat what I've been wanting to start off with. Once again, good night to everybody out there listening to us, and thank you for joining us this evening on the topics. Well, I would like to get into some of the American system, cause
The American.
I
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. Cause I would love to be. I would love to learn a bit more as well too. So I mean, I'm very much open to that.
Well, I'm only talking about what I was able to see on the ground. One thing I could talk about, I don't know if this is
Hmm.
something that will ever come to St. Kitts and Nevis, but the early voting. But
Ah,
so there's early voting. You don't have to necessarily wait until election day. I mean, some people wait until today. But if you check it out, even early during the day, they were already telling you these were the early votes cast and them type of things. So it gave you a jump start on the voting. I would say it make the voting more accessible because you don't have to necessarily wait until election day.
right.
Um, Here's another thing. I
Hmm.
went with my I went. Listen and hear me good. I went with
Hmm.
my wife to vote. You understand? I went in the polling station, in the booth, everything to vote. So it's not like St. Kitts and Nevis where is this strict 100% thing. As a matter of fact, is multiple people inside the in there vote. Ain't no one
Mm.
ain't got nothing where it's like you there. So everything partition off, but you could go in there with people who vote. You could go in there and
Okay.
like talk as long as you're not being like loud or obnoxious or anything. Listen, let me be real with you. I see a woman
Uh-huh.
in there, right? And she ain't
Uh-huh.
like directly remember who she want to vote for. But she come in there with people and she's like, we be I say must vote for who be the Supreme Court judge. And what me supposed to vote for amendment 3? Then kind of things there, you understand? It's you know you think it's an Nevis if you do them kind of thing they ain't gonna tell you, yo,
Disqualified. Yeah.
yeah. So the process is not as strict, I would say, from what I observe. It's not even to say you could go in there with somebody or vote. Because in the past, I don't see my wife going there with she kids. So they
Okay.
don't know what it look like or vote. As me I say, as long as you ain't going there and being obstructive or anything, it's
Right.
about casting the vote at the end of the day. And that is the most important thing. So I feel like it was a new experience for me on that regard of having it. Um, at the same time, I was surprised because you wouldn't believe I watching football the night before, and the
Mm-hmm.
day when we go vote, the woman who running for state attorney was at the polling station. And I tell her, Miss, I see you on the TV last night. I can't believe. Yeah, yeah. She right there. So yeah, man. It was a good experience. Um, I do think it matters because I mean the perspective of the person who is the
Mm-hmm.
leader of America. As you said, they're gonna be influential on the rest of the world, and
Right.
how America choose to interact with the rest of the world, what type of policies they're gonna implement. So it is gonna matter. Donald Trump is out to the early lead. He done got 23 electoral votes. Harris only have 3 at this moment in time. So that's the early comer.
Yeah, but that's a huge margin there. At least it's early as you say, but it's a huge margin still. You know,
Indeed,
that's the other thing that is interesting with the elections out there. The fact that the numbers come in so readily. You know, you don't have to worry about like St. Kitts and Nevis where you don't know if the count is gonna end up until the next morning or the next day and that kind of thing. Everything is digital. I remember I was in Oklahoma when they were decriminalizing cannabis when they had the vote for that. And you could have just log in and see the numbers change like in front of you, by the minute or the minutes. And you see at the end, the same night, you're able to see, okay, that the majority of the people say yes, they are for it. And the vote was over. We in 2024, I think, the Caribbean need to really upgrade themselves to that point where we have all these things, But I love that part of it, that everything is almost real time in terms of the votes and everything, the counting and so on.
I feel
Um,
like I feel like the other thing we might be able to adapt is I don't know if you know what Anguilla do, but Anguilla show you the count,
mhm.
So it's not just to say you got people in the polling station from each party watch the count. You're seeing a video recording and the man telling you in real time what going on with the count. So if you want to deal with
Okay,
transparency, as you say, in 2024,
right.
there is ways for us to um upgrade this thing and get past this thing and show real transparency to the outcomes of what going on. I want to see a politician behind that ball. Up to now, I want to tell me how we can't see a politician on ball yet. I want to see a man go on but I say, I want to recount. I want to recount. Yeah, I want to see them thing there. Like, I'll be up the drama. I'll be go get it sponsored. I know that I know for sure Flo would sponsor that day. I know for sure Flo would sponsor that day right now. They could put it on they could go simulcast, put it on Flo TV, drama, who and the recon. Let we see what's going on. And I'll be also gonna get to see who gonna say, I'm gonna get your quote. You think me no wanna see anything there? You know
Yeah,
today.
it would add a little bit more excitement. Add a little bit more excitement to it.
Yeah. Cause tonight really and truly it ain't gonna no excitement and unless Kamala win. Cause if Trump win, he gonna just be Trump win. But if Kamala win, you know how Trump going on. So that gonna be entertainment. Yeah. Yeah. You only gonna entertainment if Trump lose. If Trump wins, Trump gonna be like, I told you, America's gonna be great again. All in kind of
But
thing gonna be going on.
you got the man impersonation knocked down, man. Tight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Donald is the man. Donald is the boy. At 12 years now, I'll be done had Donald in front of me. What does yeah? Yeah, try to tell you. Okay. Let me head on some Nevis politics first. The first thing I have to say, you do not have to have any response to. This is just my general comment. This is just my general take. I don't even know if you heard this. Okay.
Mhm,
First of all, I listen to once again. I attempted to listen to NRP. JD was on this
mhm.
time, and I was so frustrated at the end. I tell myself, I come to a conclusion. All guns down. I ain't gonna listen for the rest of the year. I'll do whatever I feel like. But if that's it, I got it. I will not get. I don't have to worry about no word from me. I will give out till 2025 to get things together,
Mm.
and I will be back at some stage at that time. Now, I was so disappointed that I say, you know what? Let me go listen to the premiere. I got to go listen to the premiere or pick back up myself. You understand? Who feel happy again. And I listened to my premiere just now. Clear he throat in the mic over at Van Radio. Van Radio, good mic, you know? What people got to go in there, got to happen again. He just in there clear he throat in the mic. And I look straight in the camera, you know? Sometimes he's in shame and he's like, oh my god, I do this here too much. I should have let Eric come on tonight. And he kind of thing out of his head. Well, mostly the man I look straight in the camera. And I thought at one point, I said, Alan, you being awful. You being too picky. And then my wife watch me and he said, how come you do that there? What make you do that? And I said, what you mean? What you mean? Please tell me what you mean. He said, how come you just play each other in the mic like us all? So sometimes me don't do it too, but me don't mute the mic. Me just go off, you know what I mean? Say excuse me something. Mr. Premier, you can't be so disgusting, man. You can't do it.
Uh,
And this is why I had to tell people the Premier lose he was. The Premier used to be a charming man. He would have never been pandemic like us all night. He would have either call in sick, uh, like he would get some kind of he want some stronger mentor or something, man. But then that they would have mash up because the dribbling would have start up. So it's like it's a catch 22, you know, you're between a rock and a hard place. But I just want to tell the Premier in the future, before we get to the politics, when you're sick, cause I know the jet lag. Me hear the jet lag in you in the press conference. So just lay it slide. No, with regards to what the premier was saying about Bermuda. And before we get to Bermuda again, I have a question
Mhm.
to ask you, but I have to ask in a very sensitive manner, and I have to set this up in the right way.
Mhm.
First, I want to say, Sharon Brantley, I love you, and this is nothing against you personally, okay? But this is also bigger than you. And Mr. Premier, I also want to say, this is not an attack on your wife, this is a question. Simply a question. Now, the Premier would have said that he does travel in different capacities. Sometimes he travel and it is personal, and he travel with his family and he don't necessarily tell Nevis people nothing. That is personal. And I feel like we have the right to know, but we not necessarily got the right to know what you gonna do. I feel like that's fair.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
regardless to what, that's what he said, and it is what it is. Now he also says sometimes I travel on behalf of Nevis people,
Mhm.
and that in those times it is paid for by the public, obviously. He can on Nevis people behalf.
Mhm.
He would have said the reasons why he chose to go to Bermuda. Now my question is, if this was on the people's behalf, should it have been a team of people from tourism, somebody from finance, somebody in these capacities, uh, should it have been Sharon? Because it's Sharon, right? But it was on behalf of the public. So you understand? I out of bounds for asking the question. I asked it in the right way. I've been sensitive, right?
I think your question is fair and clear.
Okay.
Um, However, just for
Yes.
verification,
Yes.
was in that team seemingly that would have went there, was it only him and her, or were there actually other people who went?
Listen, as far as I am aware from the conversation and everything what I see, it was a team of husband and wife. That's what me get. I did not at any moment in time hear, for example, Wakely Daniel. I think he's the PS of finance. I did not hear anybody from tourism, as I tell you. I did not hear anybody from any other ministry or department mention. I heard Sharon and I saw
Hmm.
Sharon. That I was here and that I was see.
Right, right.
Yes.
But
So
I saw that too. I didn't
okay.
hear her, but I saw a photograph of
No, well,
some
no,
photographs of the event.
no. I'm telling you. For example, he said when we landed, the people from St. Kitts and Nevis came out to see me and Sharon. Me
Right.
not hear
Okay.
nobody
Right.
else. That I
Okay.
make I tell
Right.
you. Why here and why
Here.
see.
Okay. I got you. I got you. I got you.
Oh,
I
and
got you.
and and let me circle back. Why that is important, and one of
Hmm.
my disappointments, for example. So JD is speaking, and couple times JD is speaking. JD is saying, well, what is going on here? Um, she says something, for example, where the premier has addressed. Now you could pick apart how
Hmm.
he has addressed it, but she said he ain't addressed it, whereas I would tell you he has addressed it. And I feel like it's because I listening. You know, I listen to one side, me I listen to everybody. And me still I listen to who
Hmm.
I watch them. You understand? Me I listen to all sides. to find out what is taking place. And I don't feel like there's preparation on behalf of the candidates who want to take over the government with regards to because and yeah, I'm gonna tell you why it's easy to keep track. Only one man attack. So you only go keep track of the one man.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like you only have to keep track of the one individual. Wait. Let me hear what Lionel Starboy Apprentice has say. How are the people supposed to know when? Oh my God. As soon as it's just a judgment comment pop up.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I feel it.
It's business or pleasure.
Or how are the people supposed to know when it's business or pleasure? In what context?
Well,
Um.
I think from what I heard,
Oh.
it was
So
mentioned that
when he traveled.
he
Oh.
went
Oh. Sorry.
he went on the people's business from
Yeah.
that is what I think was presented to the public. That is why I said your question was a fair question. I just wanted to verify if for
Well.
sure that you knew that it was only him and her. If so, then yes, I think that's a fair question. If there
Well.
were other people that we don't know about, then that is why I said for me, I would have I wanted to know so that I could have a clear um, standpoint to say, okay, well, yes, I agree that that is questionable. So that is just where I stand. But I think you
Well.
put the question over succinctly enough.
In the photos I saw and in everything I heard, I'm going based off that premise.
Right. So and if that
So
is
so
correct,
so
that's what I'm
so
saying. If that is correct, then it is a
uh-huh.
very fair question.
So what's your answer to the question? What's your opinion? You feel like that is a sufficient team? Okay, wait. Before you answer the question, let me give you even more background.
Mm-hmm.
Because he would have mentioned the importance of the trip. And he would have mentioned how well off they are financially and the fact that a large proportion of persons who are in Bermuda trace the roots back to St. Kitts and Nevis. He said he met parliamentarians, some of them named Simmons, one of them must be named Nisbet, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he said when he thought there's only 60 people gonna come to the thing, is 200 people come. And he
Mm-hmm.
talk about how high the GDP is and the importance of getting these people back. So I'm asking you, if this thing require, this thing is so important, and he even talk about how he said, "Boy, listen, I don't know how NRP people does this up and all." He said, "You cannot build St. Kitts and Nevis right now with 50,000 people. You can't do it. The mission is impossible." The man give up live as he clear it throat every minute. Telling you, it was 1 minute at a point in time. It was awful. He and I been know something to tell you. But he said you cannot. One of the things what he pointed out, he said, them only 21,000 square miles and then got 65,000 people. Listen to okay. Listen to how big a listen to how big a dummy and how disingenuous my premier be. My premier basically feel like Bermuda success is due to the fact that they have a large population. Because he ain't gone in to no extent of reasoning to tell you. He gonna tell you, for example, Bermuda has one of the highest GDPs in the world. Bermuda got state of the art this. Bermuda got that. He not tell you one industry what Bermuda is leading in. We are Bermudans going to work when they come back, boy. In the boiler plant. That way not telling. In the boiler plant. Yeah. They will be coming back to help set up the boiler plant, the boiler industry. Badly in need of foreign investment in the boiler industry. If not to finish it, at least you could contribute to the rent money. So that, you know, no roaches get in there and no rat shit get on the packaging and them type of things there. But so my research into Bermuda, let me tell the people them certain things are going on in Bermuda. Bermuda ain't even they gone past tourism. They
Mhm.
getting 1.5 million tourists a year, and they decide we could diversify this thing. And they ain't selling passport. Whereas we go sell passport to make money, their passport one of the
Mhm.
hardest to get. Cause you got to be married and still live there continuously for 10 years. And then you could say, okay, now I want to try to be a Bermuda. That
Mm.
way about it. Their thing now is insurance business. And they what they're doing, right? End up spill off so much into America that they're responsible for like 300,000 jobs in America because of the fact that the insurance popping off so much to the point where I think upwards of 80% of American companies, you know, registered in Bermuda, and then also they got a ship registry. He ain't going into all of these things to tell you what kind of and well while they're doing this with insurance, we got financial services.
Right.
So the question is how come our financial services ain't going to the extent because he looking at this thing backwards, you know. He looking at it like, bah, them man got 65,000 people. So them man go got a jet bridge. Me premier boss and I say, boy, them man got a jet bridge. So me go straight from the jet, and in the airport. Wow. And once again, my premier who is in the middle of going to do a airport upgrade. So how come I not get a jet bridge? But I be wanna attract people. You can't talk and say how amazing this thing be and I'll be people going to walk on the tarmac when you're on the jet bridge, Mr. Big Man. So when I tell you all of them things they know, is that team of two, husband and wife, is that team adequate?
No, I don't think so.
Neither me. And that's why I say Sharon, I love you. This is not nothing against you. I feel like if y'all was there on like the personal part, I would have loved it for you. Just like I had loved the European trip. Me not say nothing bad about the European trip. The premier had it also. Everybody happy. Me not see nobody vex. But if this pan the public behalf, me not feel like that is the way how this thing's supposed to go down. I don't understand what's taking place. Why am I paying for this? And the next thing one need to happen, and the public needs to be aware of, is okay. Even if the premier is saying he's taking this new approach, I'm fine. He's done this now. I think he's gone to Canada, gone Bermuda. I think he went Canary Islands. At some moment in time, we got to start to understand well what has the impact of these things, what the impact of these trips are. Is there any traction being made? Because even before the premier was saying, man, it shocked him that people haven't been to Bermuda. And then Tutus, he forget. And then he said, but you know, in my research, I ended up finding out that Denzel Douglas has gone, Joseph Parry has gone, Samal Duggins went this year. Um, the woman from the diaspora unit also went this year. So this ain't even an original plan by he. People from Sinkits from the diaspora unit don't try going down there and tap into Bermuda. But he said he planned different cause he want this thing to be a sustained thing. So I want to believe like he gonna be going to Bermuda and the regular. He need to link up some cricket matches with Bermuda and Nevis really and truly. That would be nice. It's something man get to travel to. But and then the next part, the premier was talking about how amazing the hospital is. How much stories the hospital is. He said he see a high school and the high school look like a college campus and all these type of things. So my question, yeah, it look like a mega store. And I like the thing that the premier that boy, yo, the premier losing it right now. I thought the premier accustomed to these things by now. But when you see these things and you're telling Bermudans, man, you come home, whether physically or you got to invest. How you gonna leave that for Nevis when there is no plan and finishing what we have as it is? You understand? I feel like you're supposed to be coming back for at least a parallel move. You could say I'm still in the Caribbean, but you know, I'm back in Nevis. But the services and amenities level, you think that it is possible?
Man, this comment's killing me. This comment's
you,
killing me, I tell you.
you feel like it is likely that the premier approach to the diaspora, how likely do you think it's going to be the work? I feel like he's going far and wide with this. He's appealing to those in Britain, those in the US, everywhere. You feel like, how likely you feel like this is to work?
Well, I think just like you, we're living in a world right now where everything is technological and information is at people's fingertips. And just like how you could have taken the time and do a little bit of research on Bermuda and find out some things, I would want to think that people, wherever they are in the diaspora, would take some time before they really make such a serious move to um, return to whether Sinkis or Nevis. They would do some research for themselves and figure out certain things. Some would actually maybe come back and visit and so on and experience maybe for a bit
Right.
and then work them maths out.
You
Um,
know one thing that is in Nevis' favor, the cost of living. Cause you know Bermuda got the highest cost of living in the world.
yeah, but that you see that is based on as you just talk about, and that is why I guess all of those expensive and upscale things here, cause they are making the money. So I guess with what is the but maybe you didn't do all of that, but it was the minimum wage and the average salary that is paid and so on, you know. And I think don't they use US as well too? Do they
Yeah,
use their own currency?
I think they use
So,
US.
so so those are things that you would have to factor into, um, the cost of living. 'Cause like for example, here in America, California is a very expensive state, in
M-
comparison to some
mi-
some other
mi-
states,
minimum wage in Bermuda is $16.40 an hour.
and that's US, right?
Yeah,
So
US dollars. Oh, they got their own currency too. They got Bermudan dollar, but it's 1-to-1 with the US.
okay, right. So you
Yeah.
see, so if it's 16 years, come on, that's like California. That's but California even raised it. No, California gone up to something else. I think they raised the minimum wage. So when you're living like that, and I mean, so I could see the part about um, maybe get some of these people over there who have a certain amount of wealth to come and invest in projects or invest in businesses and so on. Maybe that is the approach, and maybe if that's the case, maybe the team might be adequate. The team was selected might have been adequate to deal
See,
with that.
here one thing the premier I discredit himself with, right? When you come to these people now, right? Um, you got to come and you got to be past moral. Morals might could get you in the door, but you got to bring interests together. Interests got to align. Yeah, but Bermuda per capita is 123,000. Bermuda crazy right now. But it's also, there are a lot of traders too. Bermuda don't like encourage like young people to come. Bermuda like tell you, yo, if you ain't in a certain tax bracket, you don't need to be here. You don't need to be in this country.
But it would make sense. That would make sense.
No, no. Well, the reason why I ask you that is that where you want Nevis to be ultimately.
You see, hold on. You see, and that is why sometimes earlier on when you were talking, right?
Mm,
Um, this point came out that
mm,
it just might be based on the ulterior motive of um, the leadership, because remember in in the premier's utterances most of the take for example the tourism industry, they've always seek to look at the high end. They're looking for
mm-hmm.
high end clientele.
Indeed.
You remember, I would hear the premier say that okay, Nevis need another 10,000 people or so. But this is the same here with here on the Haitians, because if you free up the Caribbean, and Caribbean people are gonna come in and it's gonna be a strain on top of the infrastructure and the cost.
He
They're
want
looking for
people,
people,
but
but
the
they
right
want a
people.
certain kind of people.
Yeah, you got to be the right people. You can't be the wrong
So,
people.
so that is why I'm saying that maybe the approach in Bahamas and the Canary Islands and so on, which have a similar culture, is what is more appealing to his ulterior motive or the objective of what they may have in mind, which is different to maybe what others may have. And so these are some of the things that I think we have to look at, and that is why I always talk about accountability, because things are done on behalf of us, but we don't get chances to discuss these things. Um, well, okay, do we just want to focus on niche market, or do we want to really open up the tourism industry and have cruise ships as well too, and have other, things as well, or do we just want to focus on this niche thing? We don't really have much of a say. The leadership makes these decisions and then come and give us a story in some cases. In some cases, you don't get a story. So it's a good thing at least we got some report and we got his side of the story. Um,
No, I well,
we may
well,
hear
I just
others.
want to say that we get his side of the story. I feel like it was an insufficient story. I feel like he painted the story that he wanted to paint. I feel like I give you a lot more information on Pam Bermuda than he. Okay, he wanna tell you what? He ain't wanna tell you why or how none of these things is achieved. So what I wanna know is them specialize, for example, in insurance and reinsurance. Um, is the thing what we're gonna deal with this banking thing? as far as international banking, these are the questions what we need to ask. How we go? Because when me say he do this thing backwards, right? He no realizes what them man do is them man build up industries, at least one central industry, and then when you get the excess from there, then you could spill off into your social programs, into your other industries, and you build up accordingly, and that's how you diversify your thing. I mean, that's one of the reasons why geothermal is so necessary. But in later, if you can't even do geothermal, these is the things. For example, if Bermuda had geothermal, the fact that them man do insurance would have allowed them to do geothermal. You know? They would not have had to do geothermal or do the rest of the things. You understand what I say? Them man got services
Mm.
in place, and then that allowed them up also to have a wonderful jet bridge, so that Abby Premier could be amazed that he was straight from the jet, straight into the airport. Amazing. He can't believe on 21 square mile
But you
that
see,
is possible.
and what is the kind of politics that they have? It's a similar political system as we are. The more kind of follow the American type system, or you don't really know.
They got premier. They were a British country. I think they still have a lot of links to Britain. So they are Westminster style government.
You're making me want to really do some research and the some further research on the Bahamian government. Sorry, the Bermudian government
Hmm.
to figure out some things like that because okay, I would like to know if that was and is a part of the the mantra of those who are the leadership to really empower their people and bring the country up to that because you got to understand that the motives of some politicians are different to some others. Some might just want to win and continue to win, whereas some really want to win because they really want to empower the people and bring the land of everybody up to a certain level and not just those who deal support them or vote for them. So
Okay.
these are some of the things that we may have to look at in terms of determining why maybe they are that way and why we may be this way. Because okay, um, in the different and so in the Caribbean, I just want to shift a little bit, right? To I don't know if you're aware that in Grenada, for example, they just discover oil, so to speak, in Grenada. You heard of that?
I heard so. I heard so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the interesting things about that is the leadership has opted to not use America, or not use some of those other top countries to assist them in terms of getting out the crude oil and transporting it to. Well, they have made arrangement with Nigeria, and I think it's Dangote, one of the richest man I think in Africa, black man at this time in the world. He has set up a refinery in Nigeria. He's into fertilizers, and I think he do rice and salt and some other things, and so very much industrial. But anyway, the prime minister has opted to get um, Nigeria involved. Um, I say that to say also, for example, that's a good example that he has set in terms of that. If you do a little research about geothermal, you would also find that Kenya, I think, is one of the top 3 or 5 leading countries where geothermal is concerned. Uh, so sometimes instead of always looking out to these Europeans and so on for assistance, we can sometimes, if we really thinking along those lines, look within our brothers and sisters to make that collaboration and bridge that gap. Um, there's a little backlash to that right now in Grenada though. Some of the Grenadians saying they didn't trust the Nigerians and so on. So we sometimes always have this kind of fight, even against each other before we try certain things. But so leadership, and the mindset of the leadership is critical in, I guess, us finding proper answers to some of these questions, because the ulterior motives may be different. Because, like I said, if we are genuinely looking for more people to come, or if we are looking for a particular type of people, like in terms of the tourism, which is always highlighted, because I think that question was asked already in terms of the cruise ship, why we don't seek to maybe expand the deep water port or create a cruise port so we can also accommodate cruise ships and so on. And they said that's not the niche market that they are appealing to a high end for, to get the smaller yachts and these people. And so if there is if that is the mindset, then maybe that is why they're appealing to a certain population to come in. And even though they move to the Caribbean, they look for a certain type of persons in the Caribbean who they are appealing to come versus another set. Because when you look at that, to me, that is very, and I've always said this in regards to um, the issue about the population. Um, we, we don't want to open up that CARICOM free movement. But at the same time, we are pushing CBI. And what CBI is doing is creating a population also out there. So I think just recently we would have gotten the numbers, 54 something thousand people have passports outside and would have benefited from the CBI, so to speak. So no, that's 54. So why is it that there's not that fear that all these people would flock into St. Kitts and Nevis to and put a strain on the infrastructure and all of the different things? But our Caribbean brothers and sisters who have the opportunity to come would come and put a strain upon our infrastructure and all of these things.
The only reason I could give for that is there is a realistic understanding that the passport is being used as a gateway for the person into markets that they would not be able to get into with their original passport, and that they don't have any particular interest in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's just that the passport what they're born with, they can't get into particular countries. And I feel like it's not even me feel like, I know this is the reason why, for example, you would hear we got diplomatic relations with a Middle Eastern country. God, the same way ain't necessarily for me or you to do it. It's for somebody who is out there who they need to get into this particular country. When Dominica, for example, announced they got diplomatic relations with China, you know how big that be? You with your Dominica passport, you could go to China.
As Sorry,
You,
not to cut you off,
uh,
right? So something a thought came to me as you talk about that, and the, it doesn't just benefit me and you. No, I have a little issue with this diplomatic relations that's sometimes created by some of our leaders, right? Um, I would have heard even the premier boast about how many countries that they would have developed diplomatic relationships with while he was in that position, and so on and so forth. One of the issues that I have with that, and it came to mind because you talk about that, is the fact that in the negotiations of some of these um, diplomatic relations, it is only one way. So you would find, for example, like Ghana, um, Ghanaians might have been able to travel to St. Kitts and Nevis visa free, but you from St. Kitts and Nevis going to Ghana would have to get a visa to go to Ghana. So the diplomacy is not reciprocal. And I just use Ghana as an example because I think I was doing some research on it, and I think that's something that I discovered during the process. but I think it is also for other territories as well. So I don't know if you're aware of that, and what's your view in terms
Well,
of?
well, I would have to get specifics. I know it does be different. For example, I was confused when I was going to Mexico with whether or not I needed some kind of documentation. And basically the advice was if you got a US visa, you can come to Mexico. And you're asking get a US passport, you can come to Mexico. So some of the times what it does take is the man would give. Sometimes it's just a courtesy thing. So I know that there is a website for sure where you could go and you could check. So if you give me specific example, I would be able to check. But if it is a one way street, then that don't make no sense. I thought you've been going to talk about some of the relationships being problematic. For example, right? I was hearing the premier talking about, man, you got some people in Yemen and them man have money and this and that. I mean, I say, boy, I wonder if them man know like the Houthi rebels are bomb all of the thing them in the Red Sea. And Yemen is a place where right now in a civil war for many years and all. Like, my G does not speak about the reality of the situation in some of these circumstances. Eh? He just say, "Why? I wonder if I could get some of the millions." Eh? And me does wonder too,
Well,
but me feel like me does
well,
wonder with more realistic targets.
well. As you put that question, because okay, even in as I spoke about the Grenada scenario, one of the things that stood out for me, because I think Russia is also going to be a part of um, assisting Grenada to organize to get the crude oil extracted. I think it's going to be extracted and transported to Nigeria. Nigeria will do the refining, and then whatever from there, right? Now, what I understood in the news article that I listened to, it said that the prime minister didn't just go as the prime minister, he also went as the leader of CARICOM, because I think at this point he's the head of the CARICOM body. Now, with what's going on the international level, it's one thing to maybe associate yourself or your country with Russia at this point. But what about when you're speaking for the rest of the region? Um, and then when you talk about diplomacy and so in the region, you also realize that um, Taiwan and China have tense issues, and within the CARICOM region, you have some of the the Caribbean territories who have diplomatic relations with China, and some have diplomatic relations with Taiwan. What happens when things get real tense? How are we going to sit as a body, as a group? Um, so I don't know if sometimes um, you know they think as deep as this, or they just think that these things are happening in the news, and it's not necessarily going to impact them as small territories.
Um, yeah, those things are gonna be problematic in the future. I think really and truly in the Eastern Caribbean, it might only be Abi and maybe one other country, you know. China turned them fast way. Let me tell you something, Mr. Premier. Okay, Mr. Premier, let me tell you a secret. You want $500 million? Check your Chinese. But I just promise them, man, think it's a Nevis. Don't flip the vote against Taiwan. Oh my God, for money island. You name the dollar amount. you might go sell a little piece of your soul to it. You better believe. But
But
that's the
but
price.
things like that now, yeah, things like that is not necessarily going to be that easy because when you look at the
No.
fact that
China gonna do
the
it. China gonna do it.
Taiwanese, no, hear what I'm saying. The
Uh,
Taiwanese would have invested in St. Kitts and Nevis for so
uh-huh.
many years.
Uh-huh.
You know, these all of them would have the ulterior motive as well. You know, so you think Taiwan is just going to let go that investment, be so willing
Well,
to just let go that
well,
investment, like that?
well, well, watch out, yes, son. I'll be solve the whole problem then. What got to happen now? Taiwan, if I back raise them, man, I will maintain our position. The check,
No, but
yeah,
you see
I'll be solve
the
the
point
whole
of this
problem.
though. But the point of this, right, is to highlight as we are pointing out that the fact that are the implications to some extent of some of these diplomatic relations, if we are not paying attention to what's happening on a global scale or the global picture.
Yeah, definitely. Cause I feel like right now how wild this thing, but I feel like the premier will go China and say, "Why I can't believe China got so much a high rise by I never knew. I never knew." It's when I was doing the research, I find out that China got the most high rise in the world. Did you know China have more high rise than America? All that kind of thing that people may go get ready to have it. Because my God, China, yeah. Um,
So,
as
uh-huh.
you've been there, I've been wanting to help you with something. We're gonna touch
Hmm.
off on this a little while. I did put in the chat this afternoon an interesting article I found, which was done from the University of Florida, and they were examining the 1993 election results, which ended up 4-4. And they were also going through other election results. They say 1980 was also a 4-4. That was the coalition with well, both of them was coalition. And certain things what they would have said in there have been echoed by you, but I got them in a manner, I don't know, it be more relatable to me. Cause they did tell me in the article that the constitution was written in such a way as to cause confusion in the electorate and with the
Hmm.
politicians. They say all of them things there in there, and they point to ways how we doing it. They gave conclusions and ways how the constitution can be reformed. For example, they say that we need to move more to a proportional representative system. And what that means is if you win your seat, you're in government.
Hmm.
It can't be that you lose your seat and we vote to you, and that means that for 5 years you're not gonna resources. No, you win your seat, so you're supposed to be in government. Um, Listen, them man had a chapter upon Van Samry named the Van Samry factor. Cause them man said one of the reasons why 1993 turned out like I saw is because Van Samry did not make a decision about
Hmm.
what he wanted to do. The man said actually, cause the man went by Van Samry house, you know. The man said I spoke to Van Samry and I told him he need to take be the prime minister. Cause that's what Labour had offered him at the point in time. But the man said it's Ted Hobson was pulling the strings and saying, but no, we ain't linking up with no St. Kitts government. Them man want to do this, and that from a neutral position. They don't want nothing happy but member along there, but they're not along there neither. Them man may end up propose and say they're gonna do a government to 6 months, cheap arm, cheap labor, and the two CCN. I'm saying no boy that they can have. But then man, you will enjoy the article.
Yeah, I'll have to read it. I didn't read it, but
Yeah.
I am familiar with a bit of that history.
Yeah.
I think actually Lord Cam got one of the most popular songs that year for Culturama. 'Cause he had a song called Neutral.
Mm-hmm.
He did a song based on that scenario. He created
Yeah.
a song called Neutral. It was one of the biggest
Yeah.
hits for several years in terms of that song. But yeah, that was a critical, and it really was a critical juncture in our political history. Um, that is where, yes, a lot of people argue that it could have been historical, where the first prime minister could have been out of Nevis. And I guess, a lot of blame, yes, would have been placed on Van Sammy for not taking that decision and that opportunity. But we don't know truly why he did not. But it was a decision that he had to make, and one that
Well,
he
from
he
the
opted to make.
article, I still got them on in case you want me pull them up on. But from what I could recall, the premier
Hmm.
said that at that stage in Kapana asked him, he said that at
Hmm.
that point in time, the campaign to the people about not joining up with any Sinkits party, and he don't
Hmm.
feel like the people would have forgive him for
Okay.
becoming the prime minister. But and Pana list them out. He said he gave him 6 reasons why he need to take up the leadership. Cause he he said one of the things the people gonna forgive you if you explain to them the position where you find yourself in right now. And ultimately, if you say that the coalition now work the first time, this time the difference is Nevis man gonna be the prime minister. So if you want to steer things in a Nevis direction, you a handle, you got your hand pan the wheel. You could deal with what you want to deal with. Let Dougie be deputy prime minister.
But the time in history now. Let's see if we could do a little time check here. How close would that have been to the attempt for secession? Because I think there was an attempt for secession also under
The
um
attempt for secession and CCM was later. That was further back in the 90s.
okay, it was further back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay. So so
And we're there also. I want you to understand that there was kind of bullshit too. Because once again, you hand could have been on the wheel. All when I've been a go secession, he hand could have been on the wheel.
yeah, but uh, uh, understanding the politics.
And then not only that, CCM turned into NRP. NRP manifesto for 1975 and 1980 was one line. We want to secede from Navy from St. Kitts no matter
At all
what.
costs.
Yeah. Watch
At
out.
all costs.
In a 1975, they might even say we was independent until 1882. They might remember the year. They might like this they had grandparents around, our great grand.
You mean 1982?
No, it, the, in the 1975 manifesto, the line said
Hmm.
we are going to seek secession from Sinkits. Something because we have enjoyed independence prior to now in the year 1882. Because whatever to understand, the Leeward Islands became a federation. The federation also had in Antigua and Montserrat and all the island name.
Hmm.
It was and then it started to break up accordingly. So we became St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla over time. And then we became St. Kitts, Nevis over time. But before 1882, it was just Nevis. In a had no Leeward Islands Federation.
Right, right, right.
So Nevis had its own autonomy and authority. It didn't do anything
Right.
just within the structure of the British. But Nevis had its own organizers. So that make me tell you in a 75, them man I remind Nevis people they used to be independent in a 1882 and they want it again. And by 19 by the 1990 CCM turned into an happy CCM wants this session too. Cause
So,
I guess the perception turned that NRP link up with Sinki. Cause NRP didn't want to form a coalition government with Ampam. They did not want to do it, at least in 1980. It's just something what happened to happen based on the circumstances.
so that's what I'm telling you. It was and is and has always been a challenge, even if the opportunity presents itself, because one could argue the same way within the team unity construct. There was that opportunity for the present premier as well. So you know what I mean, why you think he would not have taken it then as well?
Um, you see, I'm gonna take the premier at his word. Okay, he had two parliament, and he was only member of the shadow parliament, so he not been able to the real meeting them. And for 7 years, no, not 7. I'm not gonna give him 7. For 6.5 years,
Hey,
he thought he been about the real meeting, but then
mhm.
after 6.5 years, he realized, boy, these are not the real meaning. Me don't know what's going on. And the government get mashed up. So that is the reason why. That is the only answer I can
you
give.
know, it is a serious thing when you look at it, because okay, for example, um, even though we have a federation in the construct, you have 8 seats on Syncits and you have 3 on Nevis. Um, even though even though there is within the constitution the leeway for any and all of the parties to run in any and all of the 11 seats, there has never been any such thing in that historical context. The 8 seats and Syncits are always being, no, sorry, not
But
always, because I think there was a point in history, because there's a point in history, I think, where I think Labour used to run in Nevis. I stand to be corrected, but I think there was a
yes,
point in
that's
history
facts.
where,
No, that's facts. That's facts. That's facts.
right? So I stand to be corrected in that regard. But in more recent politics, let me put it that way, it seemed to be just that understanding that, okay, we're going to run with 8 Syncits and you are loyalty in Nevis, and whatever happened in Nevis, then, you are up to if you are on to join or don't join. Because in some cases, remember, the reality is only 6 you need. So if there's no need for the Nevis um, um, 3 seats to form a government, then the government could run without, which like the scenario that we have at present. It just
Yeah,
so happened that the the
well,
the, the present prime minister up to have a amicable
yeah,
relationship with the premier, and
I
so
understand, but
it's not seeming that
I understand, but
challenging.
I want to support your argument with something what I also see. When
Hmm.
in scenarios like this where it clean, then at least Singits get to form a government. But what they point out in the article is it is likely that at times it gonna end up to be 5-3 are 4-4. And in those times, anytime Nevis decide they ain't gonna side with nobody, everything broke up. You understand? You gone back to 1993 all over again. So, because Pana end up and say, when you look at what England do with St. Kitts and Nevis, England been a try to get rid of it.
But
That
that's
was
the
what,
point that I keep telling you. That's what I keep telling you. We never fought for independence. Independence was given to us, and it was given to us because you were a burden to them at the point.
yes.
You were more a loss to them than
But
than an asset. You were more a liability, sorry, than an asset.
the,
And
the, the,
so it
the,
was
la-
not something that we fought for. It was
the
handed to
la-
you, and you got nothing. So that sometimes when we talk about the politics, we don't give credence to some of these men like Sim Daniel and Ivor Stephen and Mr. Swanston and these people who would have brought the economy of Nevis from them times where we had nothing. You were dependent on Britain. And when you get independence, they decide they ain't giving you nothing. So they man have to build the economy. They have to find ways and means of, doing things to build the island. And them man was on the secession tip from an early point as well. I don't know if you're familiar with some of the things that went on with the Buckley's uprising, even before independence. Um, that was before the man even start to have their own sort of politics. The man, the meditation that was within the people of St. Kitts and Nevis at the time was self-governance. The man wasn't for this thing. It was something that they ended up, some elite people agreed on and then kind of force it on the people.
when
So
you say
it,
self governance, what you talking? You could be specific.
at that time it was the what you call it, the crown colony government would have been at that time. So
Mm-hmm.
you still had that sort of system in place.
Mm-hmm.
When they had the Buckley's uprising was about not getting um, pay or raise and so on for the work that they were doing on the plantation. It was the people, the workers, the masses, who decided to stand up and rebel these people. After their um, success, the man wanted to farm, this determine, there are some meetings to determine which way they're going. If they're going to bring in this Westminster governance system, or what the people wanted. And the people at that time didn't want to go that route. They wanted to govern themselves. So it would have been whatever system they would have set up, whoever would have been the leader, and whoever would have been there, I guess maybe more kind of like a Haiti, so to speak, then, where the masses would have been free um, to set up their own system. However, though, out of that, I think when they set up that system, I think that is where I think Mr. Walwyn was very much involved in that process at that time in terms of um, defending that um, that whatever they were seeking to set up. Um, so he bought into some of these things along with some other people, and then there were the people at the helm at the time who play parts of the role before um, they move on to setting up for independence.
I just see it there. It happened in the 1930s. I feel like the Labour Party come out at the workplace uprising ultimately.
Yeah, because then they would have been representing the people via the
Yes.
union, because they were
Yeah.
the right. And
Um.
so then you would have had Labour people on Nevis too, who people on Nevis who would have been representatives of the Labour Party or the Labour Union and the Labour, but at that time from a federation standpoint, or if at that time I don't remember if they formed the Sinkis, Nevis, and Anguilla at the same time, so if all of them was in the same struggle at that time, but um, yeah, that's kind of where it came from, and I guess that's why you could say historically there was representation from Labour running on Nevis, because however they would have structured it, you would have had some sort of representation for the Nevis people.
The last thing I've been want to say is that they also said that Pam dropped the ball in the 1983 constitution by not giving Sinkits a government. And I feel like if there's going to be any constitutional reform, that is also one of the things that need to be addressed. Sinkits need their own government.
Yes, I totally agree, and I think that maybe is part of why we have these issues that we have, because you have a federal government and a Nevis Island government, but you don't have a local St. Kitts government. So
Yes.
it and I guess that's part of the major problem, because then
Yes,
here is
it
it.
is. This
Yeah, I
is why I
mean,
tell you, Pana was giving his recommendations, and that is one of the major. Because really and truly, for the federal government too, and this should be part of the proportional thing. If you get your seat, as me say, so I like the premier, he should be part of
mhm.
the federal government. He got his seat. He should alter and Nevis people in the federal government. You win your federal seat, you're representing in the federal government. If you understand what I'm saying.
So but that's what I'm saying. In that context, it would have been fair then to have CCM running with Labour and Pam and so for seats and syndicates, and
Well,
Pam and Labour running for the 3 seats and Nevis as well too. So that
well, 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 if you understand what me I say is, it wouldn't really matter,
mhm. Whoever
because
win, 'cause I understand what you're saying in terms of
yeah,
that. Whoever win,
yeah,
they would have a seat in the actual
yeah.
federal
But
government.
overall, okay. You know why it don't make no sense for a single Labour Party to run nobody in Nevis? Do you know ultimately why it don't make no sense?
Yeah,
Pam?
technically, because only six they need, and if they could win six, they win the six in
No,
St. Kitts.
that's not the reason. That's not the reason.
But what would you say is the reason?
The same reason why make Nevis to talk about secession, the same reason why you got 113 in the Constitution, sink it,
Hmm.
sink it, and Nevis and Nevis. One thing why I agree with the premier said that it shouldn't be the Sinkis Nevis Labour Party, it's the Sinkis Labour Party. And Pam ain't got the
So you
Nevis, so,
see,
so,
you
so
see,
Pam got the
you
right
see,
idea.
so you
What?
see that you have brought out. You see that you have brought out the reason why it would have been, and it would still be so challenging if you're supposed to have a prime minister from Nevis, because that's basically what you're pointing out there,
No, that's not what I'm
Because
saying.
no, if here at the end of the day, hear what you're saying. What you just say, why it ain't really matter for Labour to run the seats in Nevis, because at the end of the day, still Sinkits is Sinkits and Nevis is Nevis. So if
Okay,
if
hold on.
uh
Let me let you understand why it don't matter. Remember, we're giving Sinkits their own local government. Now, in order to ensure that, you know what I'm going to do? Sinkits could get 9 seats. Me want them be able to farm and government, so you could get 5. Me not bother want it be the 8. Sinkits going to get their own local. But what I'm saying, the reason why it shouldn't matter federally is because federally now, you're supposed to be watching the big picture. So, and our Nevis people always got a seat. So the 3 federal
okay,
seats in a Nevis,
my bad.
whoever win them there,
Right.
going into the federal government. So all I can know, so I telling you the 3 from Nevis for CCM, I will put them in the federal government. I will put Sean in there. I, you know why you know gonna need an
And
opposition
Timothy
leader?
too.
Yeah, cause the opposition gonna be inbuilt. Cause the opposition in the government. Just like how them American man those got to like work with one another. People vote to Tim, and they want Tim to be the representative. Tim got the right to be the representative. People vote for Mark Bradley, and they feel like he should be. They vote for Alexis Jeffers. Them man deserve to be in government, making a contribution in my mind. And that's how come me I try to tell you. Federally, it wouldn't matter. That ain't what we're dealing with on the federal. We don't solve the problem by giving Sinkits their own government. So Sinkits could deal with Sinkits issues, Nevis could deal with Nevis issues, and the federal government could oversee security on a global scale. All of the things them what need to be Sinkits and Nevis, the passport, them kind of things there, them there could be federal government issues. But Sinkit local government and Nevis local government, I deal with island respect.
Okay. No, you clarify it that way. I understand totally what you are saying. My point, when I was making my point, I was making
Mm-hmm.
my point in relation to the way it is right
Yeah,
now. I
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So right. So you got me. Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
stand to be corrected there. Yeah. But that is why right now, it is so challenging. And um this is why, and things like these don't make it any easier, and that is why the fair share issue is one that I find is sometimes argued in a very disingenuous way, because you well, I shouldn't say disingenuous, because I think at one point, when questioned, the premier did point out that when he was talking fair share, he was just arguing for the CBI share. But I think part of the issue right now, regards to the prime minister seeking to address the fair share issue, is the fact that he recognized that in dealing with it, he cannot just simply address the CBI without realistically looking at the other taxable revenues and VAT, because these things are legal, according to the constitution, should be adhered to, but um, not being adhered to. So if he's going to seek to find a way to, so I think for me, this is why I am analyzing why it is taking so long to address it. That it has to be a holistic approach, in addressing that. And so if you're just going to look at the fair share for the CBI and ignore and continue, because it is already being ignored, continue to ignore the fact that the taxable constitutional sharing arrangement, which would have been in place for St. Kitts and Nevis, is totally being disrespected at this point. We need St. Kitts control their own money, whatever money St. Kitts make for tax or whatever coming in St. Kitts, and whatever that stays in St. Kitts, and whatever is made in Nevis, stay in Nevis. There was a point when it used to be pooled. The argument was, when it was pooled, then sometimes still Nevis didn't get what they're supposed to get, and so on. That was part of the argument why I think that they opted to change it. And then, as you spoke about the financial services that Nevis would have had, and then the fourth season came in, Nevis was making a lot of money, and there was a feeling that they were losing more by pooling it, versus keeping it and dealing with it. And that is where that shift took place. However, when we analyze it as a people, really, do we at this point really benefit more in that decision that is being made, or if it would be better to continue to pool it, and then make the whatever 70-30 agreement, or 75, I don't remember exactly what it was, I think it was 76-24 or something to that effect. What's your
I think
thoughts
it's
on that?
I think it's always based on the population. Um, I think all of that there is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Even up to now, the premier said that the first letter that he wrote to the prime minister was to talk about the fair share. Premier promised me in January that the prime minister is gonna get to it. The prime minister then went on to bullshit the people and the premier and say how he sent it back to the UN. He need fresh eyes. Prime Minister then went on to bullshit us again and say the head of the UN changed. So then I get to read his submission like that got anything to do, like the head of the UN is the one who got to read think it's a Navy submission because that are the eyes where they are the need on it. And the premier now say nothing. He just a cool. He just a rob a murder and a walk on jet bridges. You understand? So uh, until the man sit down and got real discussions. Right now the premier ain't vexed enough. The premier only want to vex with one person and a Janice. He ain't want to be in the opposition. Wait, watch here. This man mash up a government where he would have still been in right now if he didn't mash up, by the way. He would have
Mm-hmm.
still been in there right now to this day. 2 years ago for fair share. Right now, we still getting the same amount of money we've been getting from Tim. It was unbearable. And today, we getting the same lyrics. Better than before. Not because we getting the fair share, but when there's programs, there's a bad program, maybe people get back too. So the fair share. All of a sudden
But
now,
those things are
uh,
supposed to be the norm.
all of a sudden now, fair share ain't got nothing to do with money. Fair share got to do with everything. But we got to
Be
get down to
specific.
the we go get down to the money too.
The fair share argument from the premier was always just about the CBI.
Indeed. But
That's
until
all.
them man
So that.
really do start to have meaningful discussions, me I go stay out of that.
But
Them man
okay.
are really
Let's
run a real discussion.
while while
But
while we on that while we on that right. Um, since there came out some information in regards to how much passports would have passed through St. Kitts and Nevis, right? The CBI. And I know that there's going to be the argument that someone had sold at the price at which it was supposed to be sold for.
mm,
However, I don't think, based on the arguments that were presented, that did not prevent the government from collecting their parts of the taxes and so on that they should have. So when we do the maths and the kind of numbers that we should be seeing after um, that amount of passport, and even if you want to be generous and shave off a couple millions off of it just to say we're lucky to be on the safe side, um, do you think we should still be in a situation like we are with the fact that we should have had access to all of these billions of dollars as a result of this? Um, just like we're talking about Bermuda, don't you think that in all earnest, some of this should have been used to properly diversify the economy, whether it's via agriculture, whether it's via um, tourism, whether you're going to increase the tourism, improve the tourism, or if you're going to get into other aspects, whether it's technology, robotics, whatever it is, use the Taiwanese to help to, develop. They're very much in the agriculture sector. They do tissue culture and these kind of things where you could really rapidly increase your production and so on. Instead of just getting a little money here and there for a photo up and so on. Couldn't we use that to really empower our people more and put us in a better position instead of just being able to boast now and say that X amount of billions passed through the CBI, and we kind of at the risk right now of maybe not getting some if based on the weaker case and so on, and maybe some is frozen in some banks out there and so on. We still might run the risk of maybe losing a lot of it. What are your thoughts where that point is concerned?
um, to the question, yeah, you should always diversify where you can. Um, I do not think it is fair how people just talk about how much money CBI makes, and nobody is telling me how much it costs. So everybody makes it seems like CBI is just printing money, but in reality, and people ain't even concerned about the fact that we're not even spending enough to upkeep CBI. And what I mean by that is this: Do you realize how many Sinkits and people with Sinkits and Nevis CBI have been arrested throughout the world recently? What does that tell you about the due diligence that we are putting in to determine, well, who are these persons we are giving these passports to? So when we are looking at CBI, we are always looking and we're saying, well, okay, I have a charge, we make $250,000. But how much money I be a check for, who them people are be? Because if we just making $250,000 and all we got to do a print and passport, I don't feel like we definitely ain't got no sustainable model. Even
Well, in
the
a
go ahead.
in all fairness, I think that is what, even though a lot of people might have been upset with Mr. Martinez, that is what his case would have brought to the fore. That seemingly
No, no,
enough
no,
was not.
no, 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 no. He didn't do that. He wasn't saying that. He was saying something. No, it's not that. Me said that. He not said that.
No, okay,
Promise you.
but based on the information that came out
No,
as a
I'm telling
result
you.
of,
No, no.
hold on. Let me make this point here.
Okay, guy.
From what I gathered, right? Um, the company that would have represented our CBI
Yeah,
prior
Chinese people,
prior
Galaxy.
to prior to the new Labour Party, right?
Yeah,
Is part and parcel of the argument that is being presented by that Rico scenario, because one of the things that he's arguing is that it was being undersold, and at that time it was them, and that is why I think he even went after these same people who have now moved to St. Lucia, because they have business when they left St. Kitts and Nevis, or when Labour put them out, they went to St. Lucia. So the argument that is and was being made is that you had this company, and this company also, at least the members of this same company, were a part of the company that represented the due diligence company, which was given. So it's like they running it, and they had their own due diligence company to manage the system. So if that is the scenario, then who is there to watch or look over whatever is being presented? So the argument is ours that a lot of that took place because they were the same ones who were assessing the passport, that especially a lot of them that went through the Chinese um, companies. So that is why I say, from that standpoint, is why I say that that is part of what is encroached in um, the Rico case. So remember, he moved in after the headman himself, and also the company that they have. That's why he reached out to them with issues in St. Lucia as well, too, because they're the ones who head the operation in St. Lucia.
Yeah, but see, what I'm gonna tell you, me nah deny that the company they deal with due diligence or whatever, but the major part of my man case is that there's underselling. Now, you may focus and say, what is that? Remember, it's a broad spectrum of agents. This man said this thing was going on far and wide. And the focus is the underselling because he said, me got to sell mine for the full price. You know got to sell the full price. So that how come me I tell you the due diligence is not, if you want to fit me in and say, well, the company, me not fight upon that. That not even been on my
Hmm.
point. Cause my point is how thorough is this due diligence why they are very good. I get Abby money what? Do we need to spend more? How much Abby does spend even? How much it costs to have the CBA unit? How much Abby does
So
paying a
I think,
salary?
so I think,
Because it's
I
not
was gonna
fair
say,
for
I
you to
think
watch
based
it
on
and
what,
say it is 500 million. Abby got to spend something to make that 500 million. I say you make money, you
yeah,
go spend
and
money.
I think that is from my understanding. That is what happened when I guess the new government came in and they met what they met happening, and I guess they sought to try to do, I guess, what you would call damage control. So I think that's why that they left, and if they were the ones who operate in the due diligence company, it means now that they should have a new due diligence company or organization that scrutinizes all that is going on with the in coupled with the changes that they would have made to seek to try to fix whatever loopholes or issues that they would have had, which would have reached to what caused Mr. Martinez to bring those
Yeah, but
arguments to the
what
table.
me try to tell you, what me try to tell you is really and truly me don't give a fuck about Martinez. What me want you to understand is that if for example we make 500 million, but we
Mm-hmm.
spend 400, how much million are we make? Are
Just
we
100 million.
but that's what me I say. So are we gonna get caught up and feel like I be really make 500 million? Or are we going to try to find out how much it costs for this CBI program? It can't be nothing. Is it 50 million? Me not say I be now win out the game, no? But I be got to spend some kind of million to be a pulling them millions. Yeah. Me not see it work no other way. Me no know of no industry where it's just straight up cash. Some kind of money got to be a spend. No, it could work out that as I say, you winning out the game. Man. Those
Mm.
industries exist, but I still would like to know how much it can. And then remember the prime minister is talking about added protocol. He wanna put somebody in Europe to monitor these people. He wanna do ongoing due diligence. All these type of thing. I tell me these are not cost money.
Yeah, it's going to cost. Yes, there's going
Okay.
to be a cost to it, of course.
Well, and so that's why I'm saying, and that's part of this disingenuousness. In a, we got to be real about how much CBI really I mean. And maybe that's one of the things that need to be addressed. How not how much is pan the income, how much pan the expenditure part of the building. That
But
one
you
really
know,
tell me how up with it.
so how come I'm sure, yes, I'm 100% positive because from what I know, is that we are the first in the region to have started it. So my point is going to be correct. When countries like Grenada and so who come in long after we would have started, and they're at the point where they can present their information to show how much money they make so far, how much passports they don't sell, how much, and I'm not sure if they do it monthly or quarterly or whatever it is. Why can't we have this level of transparency on St. Kitts and Nevis? And I think that's what you're asking right now, because if that was happening, then we wouldn't be asking this and everything be so shrouded. I mean, it seems as if they have to force to get the numbers, because it's years
Yeah.
now. People are asking me how CBI passports, how much CBI, I mean, passports have been sold as a result of the CBI. And it's like pulling teeth to get answers. So again, Alan, I know you're gonna say it's my favorite point, but accountability. Me and you might be
No,
doing
no,
this here and this program, but how much more are holding these people accountable so that they come to us with the information instead of we having to always just one-on-one come on the radio or somewhat and force them to have to do what they're supposed to do,
yeah, but
because that's what we hire
Rasta.
them to do. We
Okay,
don't hire
okay.
this information from us.
Rasta, I feel you. But here's what I'm telling you. I do not want you to feel like me not want you get accountability. I have moved past that. The only reason why I'd be on your case is what I'm saying is what strategy shall we employ to get the accountability? Because if we could agree that we want accountability, after that now we got to think about what we're going to implement in order to see the accountability that we desire. So me not stress and I tell you, me not say that me not want accountability. Tonight, when you see me talk about Bermuda and the Premier's lack of accountability, that is the strategy I am employing. Me
No,
not
so
just
that's what I said.
no, but hold on. You will no, but why be you tell me is you just a wonder things. Me tell you things who show you the lack of accountability. So
Okay, I
now
got you.
when somebody go tell the Premier, how come you want to get be part of the story? Sometimes the Premier does talk at press conferences and he said, Lord, I don't want to guess and say this. You know why? Because he know I listening to the press conference every month. Not like NRP candidates them. I listening in my ass all the time, writing down. So he can't come there, go just say what he feel like. But that me tell you, we got to imply actual strategies. What okay, you want me tell you what that strategy there before me? It's called listening. All like watch ya. It costs something, you know, you got to pay attention. That make they say pay attention. It costs something, listen. But how are you gonna pick it apart if you ain't listening? That's how come you tell them you got frustration with JD. JD tell me this happen. That they happen. Which part you hear so? Boy, boy, me not even depend news and you know what I think me don't hear. You know what I think me don't verify. You see things going on in the country and you ain't going back to verify. You got things that happen in a school and me say, hey, what's going on? So you go. I'm not even saying nothing. But me want to know if I saw the thing go with you. I want to know what's taking place within the country. So for me, that ain't good enough. Listen, here's another strategy I'm gonna take now. The Premier has made fun of NRP. So NRP now had a manifesto last election. And the Premier said manifestos are important. And I guess the reason why NRP politicians could do this is because then I had a manifesto. And then I got ways to get around it. But me not had to have a manifesto. But the Premier tell me it's important. And we ain't going through the whole thing. But I've been wanting to talk about sports tonight. Sporting infrastructure. This is from the CCM Manifesto 2022. Remember what me tell you? CCM tell me manifestos are important. You got to live up to what you tell the people and them. So let's be talking about the sporting thing. It says modern, well-functioning sporting infrastructure is a must. MUST. I gotta have it. This is not something women want. Mark Brantley said, I need this year.
It's a must.
Is for international success. I've been talking about regional, what local you tell me about. And what
International.
regional you tell me about.
International.
International. Particularly with sports having grown to be one of the largest and most profitable industries in the world. And you know my Premier love money. Love money. Oh my God. No. Let me see what you say, you know. Okay. What's them so small? CCM. I'm glad I had a manifesto, but next time I give me in a little bigger print. I changed it on 14%. Me go just to see how it was. Anyway, as a result, the specialized skills required for the construction and upkeep of sporting facilities have also advanced to a high level of sophistication. Okay, we got in the request part now. Your CCM government envisions the country becoming a major player in regional and international sports. Check it out. CCM, my CCM government, the lyrics, I better believe that in your ass. In order to achieve this
But that's
vision, got it,
no. I was just going to
brother.
comment and say if it's one of the things, if it's one thing you could not say is that they don't have very eloquent speeches.
Indeed,
Very very eloquent.
I
So
just
continue.
compare my premier to a basketball player who, well, everybody know he good at dribbling, and he does get to the rim, but he can't finish. He spin all up and down, and he almost look like he gonna make the left, but he can't finish.
Mm.
But he got the right idea. He got the right
Mm.
idea, and he always gonna get to the rim, but he just not got the finishing boy. Like, in order to achieve this vision, and once again, that's a vision of being a major player in regional and international sports. And that's why the other day when I see CONCACAF playing games and then full up Antigua and Barbuda get all of the sports money. That them man are playing a high sun, hot sun high day. Anyway, in order to achieve this vision, a commitment must be made to the development of our athletes whose international performances serve as a measure of the success of a country's sporting program. So you got to be producing. And Van Samuel was producing test cricketers in the 90s. Stuart Williams, NRP produced Keith Atherton. Mr. Premier, you ain't produce a test cricketer yet, yeah? You ain't produce. The Premier ain't produce a West Indies man yet. So, right now, Mark Brantley is the first division premier not to produce a West Indies test cricketer. So we gonna got we got him on the track for that. Everybody else, including Parry, cause Kyron get in under Parry. You check it out,
Mm.
and Vance produced them too. So Mark Brantley is the only Navy's premier who is yet to produce a test cricketer. Let me see if you're going down the train and can produce one. Um, so he said, in our efforts to achieve this, your CCM led government commits to the following. They will convert the ETW Park into an international cricket venue for regional and international competition. I'm gonna pass on top of that there. Recently there was the football competition. St. Thomas's Primary, I am told, were the winners of this football competition. They defeated my
Mm-hmm.
Gingerland Primary, or JLPS as they are known as now. Um, yeah, you take the win. I haven't been having a good time in sports. Um, One of the questions why I have before we move on, the Mondo track was built, right? And Mondo track is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to got a football field in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
If if the if all of them words is the way me just tell you are so important, we got to develop our the athletes in proper facilities. How come? Why the children ain't playing over Mondo track? Why may they still are playing the ETW with it?
That's a good question. A
And
very good question.
and furthermore, I know you haven't been in the ETW with it for a while, but it's not what it used to be. Once again, maintenance is a kind of thing. The stands have been there and they are wooden stands. They don't last through how many storms, how many hurricanes, how many people don't sleep on them. You understand? How many rat gonna walk up and down in between of them at some stage in time. I think West Indies board would have gone there and them and say, yo, If I ever host any kind of thing, which once again it was promised by CCM and manifestos are important, I need to knock down all of them stand there, all of them pavilion there. I need to actually, you realize when you're watching football, ain't got no fence in the park.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't had no fence in the park for more than 5 years now. The park just, you're not even park now, I'm partial. And you're telling me that this gonna be our venue where you're bringing back regional cricket to. I don't know when last me hear regional cricket play in the park. Sometimes regional cricket I play down a Sinkage, right? And them man I play 2 games at one point in time, in a Sinkage. And none I play Nevis. And me premier ain't produce a test cricketer yet. It barely got people
But
I play first
that's
class.
something that's really disturbing, to say the least. Um, when you look at the history of cricket in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, it is only recently St. Kitts would have gotten, you could say, two players really into the West Indies cricket. There might have been people who might have gotten a little thing, but we know um, Nevis would have produced X amount of test cricketers. I mean, St. Kitts is known for football. Nevis is known for cricket. So even if you didn't invest in some of the other sports, which I don't think any sport should be not given attention, but cricket, um, I think that is something that should have really, based on the facts, the history, the evidence is there. Why not seek to hone in and empower a lot of the youths in that area? So it's really disturbing that after all these years, as you said, not even that the effort to improve that park. Okay, you realize St. Kitts set up their own field and other fields too, because other communities, I think Malineo, Tabernacle, and some other places where they got um, proper fields where they could play at least even regional games. So you could at least set back up the park and then set up another area, because you could identify another area on Nevis where you could actually set up a proper stadium. Like I think some other countries he did that recently, where they set up a whole um, to transform the area into a proper I think St. Vincent in recent times would have set
Mm-hmm.
up a proper stadium to host international cricket and so. So I'm saying, even if you didn't set, even if you think that El Comida Willie Park don't have the capacity, set it up that you could at least play some practice matches or whatever, and at least maybe regional matches and so, and then identify a new area and set up a proper international stand to
Boy,
empower your people.
Mr.
Boy,
Premier,
what?
no, the reason why me tell you so, boy, you give me premier phases and he like phases. Remember 8 years you take that man there do a hospital right now? 8 years and counting. I be want to do this year and then go got to do something again. When it come to my premier, I want people come to him with small requests. So me not think he ready for do this and got to do another thing. So it better if he just go to who know what he be them I say and let them do it, and then he could just take the credit. I feel like he need to get in
Okay.
position to take credit.
Okay. Anything else on the list of sports in the manifesto?
In the, oh boy, that only the first thing. The man say undertaking the second phase of the Manda facility, which will include covered stands, press boxes, a gym, changing rooms, and additional seating. So phase two is supposed to start in this
Within
term.
5 years. Okay.
Indeed, I be come up on 2 years now. None of the things then will be he say it happen. Eh? And this only in a sports. If you go to CCM manifesto, my God, with things will be ain't happening. Ain't happening. My God. But manifestos are important. Um, completing lighting of all play fields and navies, that has not happened.
Okay.
No, that has not happened. Yeah, Eric, I get boy. We get some word from some man, I may not even expect. But then, but anyway, creating a baseball field to accommodate our Dominican brothers and sisters, as well as to introduce more divisions to the game of baseball.
That happened yet?
I could tell the premier something. Okay. This is only Alan's stupid opinion. Mr. Premier, you got a couple of things that I would like to see you do. Cause if you do them and win St. John's, you is a political guy for me. One of them is if you charge bad people who got hot bad. I want to see you do that and win. And win over bad. I would love, because I hear you talking the bullshit boy, you pay $120 to go in a hot bath. I want you to charge bad people $20 to go hot bath and see how that going to work out for your political career. The next thing I will tell you, go ahead and do a baseball field before you fix up the partner. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do what you got to do. Do what you feel like is right. But you did build
But
a baseball field before you fix up the park. And let me see what's going on.
you say what you want. So what if the man feel like that is what is going to help to get his votes? 'Cause remember, the objective is to win, and not necessarily to win. So that man will do what if that strategy might work. He may see the way that he could win via that. You'll be surprised.
Wait there, your son, it sound like me being a Chetnam, no? You know, hear what me say? Follow your heart. If your heart
Oh,
tell you, watch ya. Remember, he had a baseball movie where say, if you build it, they will come, you know. So if he feel like
mm,
if he build it, they will come, he could go ahead and build he feel like James. Me ain't gonna vex with him.
okay.
Go ahead.
Next thing on the list.
He said he can convert the cricket grounds at Brown Hill, Jan, Zion, Ramsbury, and Swamp into first-rate venues, complete with all necessary amenities. And he's watch
Wow.
out. Yeah, me tell you what I make this year specifically in there because teams have been coming down to Nevis from England, from America, from all over the place. And sometimes you got little boys there. And at the first time in them man life, them man a play cricket and then I'm gonna just in room. You got to take off your clothes. You cricket is a sport where you need dressing room and then make it worse again. When you're a women's team will come
Mm,
to your island and ain't gonna dressing room. So these set of things here are supposed to be dealing with those weaknesses there, so but
okay.
me can't see it yet. I can't see it yet. Um we're not completely there. You got two more. Offering opportunities for coaches working in the government sports programs to improve their skills through further training overseas. Me no know if Eto is a man will benefit from that. Me no know who has gotten the upgrade, so I can't say that this has not happened.
Okay.
Um, I know Jamia winning out the game in terms of football, but outside of that, me no know who has improved. And me not even know if Jamia has been a recipient of this, if Jamia just get the true hard work and dedication and knowledge of the sport, you know, and all them kind of things. Then. Boy, I tell you that CCM going to your politician in the next election. We haven't made go talk about that. Yeah, CCM going to your politician. I'm so happy, man.
So
The
it's
last one
interesting.
is, oh yeah, the last one is providing financial support for the development of grassroots football, especially among primary and secondary school students. Um,
So I guess we see evidence of that in the recent event.
no, and I wanna enough with this, right? I feel like it's very difficult for the teachers, right? And I want the teachers understand that I ain't warring with you, but I do have to say what I got to say at the same point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the teachers and some people about the education department also are so concerned with the education from an academic perspective
Mm-hmm.
that they are fighting the sports and the athletics angles of sports. And I don't feel like we have found a proper mix as to how sports need to be. I went to a coaching course Sunday in Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is level one coaching in cricket. So you're coaching children. Them man laying you to know when you're coaching, sometimes right, for 1 week to get a child into something, I might just be able to teach these men a couple positions, yeah, just to get them some fundamentals. Now, when you're gonna have a football tournament for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, me as a coach can't do nothing for you, my boy. The level of development what I could do for you ain't saying nothing. I love the fact that the sports department chose to play games on a weekend. I feel like something is definitely there with the angle there. And it might be better if the season, well, I mean, I say might be, it would definitely be better if these seasons are stretched out and man I play one football game a weekend for 2 months. And you also got the youths and them engaged, you know? Imagine, 2 months or 2.5 really, because this is what me observe up here in a football. Friday night
Mm-hmm.
is high school football, Saturday is college, Sunday are the big man them. And them ability like so. But you do have an entire season. So you could see a man by in he 2020 season, he been this. In a the but in by 2 years time you could see the growth and development within the player,
Right.
but then when I get time with the sport, and it goes along with the academics in a kind of way, because I went to a football game, homecoming game. Them man introducing people on the field not just for the sporting achievement but for their academic achievements too.
Right.
Them man introduce people on the field for achievements in not only football, in achievement. Watch out, you got people they get up the car, they dip on the chess team, they're in athletics, these different type of things. So for me, for the development of sports, whether it's cricket, football, these type of thing, we need to go more to a seasonal format. And the educators and the academics got to be working in concert. Because I got to realize too, people function better when everybody active too, in general, overall.
Right. And it's not everybody who is going to be inclined. There's some people, their skills or talent might be in some other areas, and that's why, whether it's sports or, extracurricular activities. As you talk about chess, I think even to represent us internationally in terms of playing chess. I don't know how successful they were. But these are other areas that traditionally we don't really look at. Swimming in more recent times, I think a team has moved on also, and gone to the OECS, to represent St. Kitts and Nevis, and some of them are from Nevis.
Yeah,
Um,
they in
and
Barbados
then we would
training
have
right
had,
now.
right,
They in
and then you would have
Barbados
had,
training.
yeah, and then you would have had, what's his name there, Troy Nisbet, would have taken it to the level where he went to the Olympics. When you were reading that, that's why I was kind of hoping for you to go through the list, because I was wondering if the Olympic swimming pool was in the manifesto or if it was just something that was mentioned. But
No,
it
that
is
gonna be the
something
next
that
one.
next the thing is, at this point, based on the evidence that is there, is something that we need to consider, because one of the drawbacks for Troy was the fact that he was accustomed to swim in the sea versus getting the kind of level of practice that he would in that kind of pool setting. And I think it is different, you know, in just like, I guess one would argue, running on the dirt versus running on the track that you're going to compete on is quite a different scenario. So, things like that I think would be helpful. And I see it seems that there's a lot of interest in swimming. It's really becoming something that's interesting. Actually, there was a competition a couple of weeks ago, and my daughter is much into swimming, and she was successful in a couple of the events. She got two first position and a third. So when we look at the development of sports, like I said, we can't just look at it from a uh, just cricket and maybe football and basketball standpoint. Now we have to seek to embrace some of the other non-traditional sports like chess, as we just pointed out, and swimming and so on.
Well, the premier got to deal with before he deal with the chess and all them things there. He need to deal with the park, go park, and
Yeah, I totally agree with that. With because the evidence is there for the cricket side, and that's why I said that's where I started from. I was saying, like, I think that should have been addressed a long time. And as you talk about, as you read it, I smiled to myself when you read about the renovations that should be taking place at Grove Park, because in the renovation of the cultural in recent times, a couple a bit of the park was taken up as well to accommodate Culturama. So I
indeed,
smiled to myself to say how serious you are about renovating when you actually, without even any serious thought about it, take up some space from the golf park, and it's already arguably not big enough for what you may want, unless you're going to bring it up to a kind of height where the balls and can go over the fence and go in the road and go down by
boy.
Mr. Swanston and all them things.
I even want to tell you the premier man. The key. What is it? Oh yeah, the Keith Atherton. I think is the Keith Atherton Academy. I like that. That man need to knock down that there and like put a proper Keith Atherton Academy. Cause the building why I went go do this coursing right
Mm-hmm.
is a multi-purpose building. This better than
Mm-hmm.
what Barbados even got as them academy. You people who use track and field could have used this year. Then baseball man could have used this year. Cricket people could have used this year. All could kind of people could have used the facility. And you also could have they had a birthday party in the night before. They got conference rooms, they got lunch room, all them thing here. That there, that building there is what the kid Atherton Academy supposed to look like. You ain't even got to got as much bowling machine in a that day. That would be a proper facility. That would be something where is moving El Comido with it park. Watch ya. People would know. Even you know get down to the stands and you know get down to nothing like that. So man would come and leave this just a practice. If you put it in that facility there. And it's only one major thing you gotta maintain, and it's this office. Every once in a while you make sure that they're fresh. And you're good to go. You're in the money. So Mr. Premier, if you're gonna do it, see a free one day. How you need to do that day. Um of course I will tell you the building and how it look for a price. Cause you say when you're good at something, you have to charge them. So yeah. But the
uh,
idea is there. Anyway,
Yeah, that is
we've been
something
here
that
for
is necessary.
yeah, we've been here for 2.25 hours, and you're getting down to the times. So
What's
so
the latest? Give us a little latest before you leave in terms of the
well,
presidential
let me
settings.
see. I see Kamala win Rhode Island here. Wow. She's leading in Nebraska. Trump is going to win South Carolina. Boy, watch out. Donald Trump got 210 and Kamala got 91. And it's 270 you need to win the election.
So 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 it really looks, based on how it looks right now, unless Kamala do something real drastic, it really looks like a Trump, all out Trump without any doubt about
Boy,
it right now.
boy, pana, everything will be missy Donald Trump right now. Georgia, Donald Trump. Wisconsin, Donald Trump. Yes, North Carolina, Donald Trump. Boy, what this will be? Arizona, a Donald Trump right now. Oh my God of mercy. Boy, yeah, boy. 210 to 91. I feel like within the next hour, Donald Trump is going to be the next United States president. He's going to be on blood. What?
yeah, yeah, well,
What? What does yeah?
it's it's interesting, I guess Donald Trump would have had the experience. He would have been there already. Um, Even though he would have gone through all of what he been through, you know. Um, yeah, we're living in some interesting times right now. Oh, before we leave, Alan, any comment on um the Assad Michael scenario in Antigua? Um,
I I am I see Alvan put up something about him, but I didn't read the story. What's the story?
well, it seemed like, well, he I guess he's accused that he's being murdered. He was taken out, and so I guess they're doing investigation right now to try to see who or what could have been the reason. And I think the the police would have said that they would have they're going to seek regional assistance and so on, because they're not going to leave any stones unturned in terms of trying to get to the get all of the information and bring whoever to justice. So a lot of things is going on, and um, it's kind of interesting when you look at those kind of things, and being a politician. I think in recent times we would have seen and heard of various incidents in different parts of the Caribbean. Um, I think there was a incident with a politician in St. Martin, and I think some other country, um, somebody, I think it was in Dominica somewhere, somebody had gotten shot as well too, or something like that. Their spouse or something like that. So it's just something that I saw, and really hope that we really don't get to that level in these parts of the world. Um, you know,
I just look up the information. It's still fresh from the stories. What I see, they say he was stabbed and found in a pool of his own blood. So when the full circumstances come out, then maybe I will have a fuller picture and a fuller opinion. But they don't even say like who, if they have any suspects or if it's a political murder or anything. The only thing I could say Antigua don't have violence like think it's any this. So
Right.
this is a,
Well, I
this
think
is
they
a,
say they
this
have
is a big issue for them.
somebody of interest. I think they have
Hmm.
somebody of interest, they say.
Hmm.
But I think that's the last report that I would have heard at some point.
But yeah, when somebody
But
die in Antigua, it's like a big deal for them. So it's not like think it's on them still value life, I suppose.
yeah, and also before I wrap up too, I guess probably we should have addressed this in the beginning part, but we would have lost, Hastings Daniel. So my condolences to his family and sons and children. He's a relative of mine, so that's blood. He and it's sad that he would have lost his wife, or he would have just laid his wife to rest just a couple of weeks prior to that. Um, so really rough time. I just want to send some condolences out to the family. Also the family of Edric Stanley, another prominent figure in St. Kitts and Nevis. And these are people who I would have worked with, because I worked on Van Radio for a number of years, so I used to
Mm.
see these guys on a regular, and deal with them on a regular. So we would have developed relationships over the years, for whatever reasons. And so yeah, it's really you know two powerful giants, and actually the two of them used to be on Let's Talk actually, because Hastings was a host at one point. Sorry, one
Oh
of the
yeah.
guests. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Hastings used to be a part of the heavyweights. So
Okay.
yeah, I guess you're much younger, but yeah,
Okay.
he actually was a part of the heavyweights. So he and Edric were also two heavyweights on the Let's Talk program. Also, condolences to the Pinney family as well, as Connix would have lost his son over there in the U.S. Virgin Islands just a couple of days ago. Um, um, and from all reports, the young man would have been doing well for himself. I think he would have just would have been going to University of the West Indies. I think he was doing very well in engineering, and um, don't know the circumstances, but from the reports, it was via he was shot down. So condolences to Connix and the entire Penny family over there in Newcastle and wherever they are. The entire family. Um, I grew up with these people as well. Like my father and Charlie Penny. You couldn't separate them. Like especially where Domino is concerned. They were a part of the same, Domino team at a point, and they were opposing at one point too, So, but Domino, that was one of the things, And Hastings was a real Domino guy as well
Yeah.
too. So I would have known
Yeah.
them from the Domino back in those days, and I think it's something that needs to be revived again. I don't really see a lot of that happening before, but back when I was growing up, the domino competitions were real serious. I
No
mean,
man, no man, you can't say that in the premier that paid $3,000 to the winner.
no, but what I'm
No, no,
talking about, these, my father, when my father then were doing this thing, because the man wasn't just doing it and leave it, the man used to actually travel to different Caribbean territories. The man used
Oh
to
yeah,
got competition between St. Kitts and Nevis, the man used to go to Antigua, the man used to go to Montserrat and Station, them places and stuff to play domino. I mean, serious competition. And it was, you have people like, I think, not Suti's brother. What's his name there? Big Rai. Big Rai and the
mm.
man were, all involved in a lot of these organizing and so organization and so. So that's something I think, could and should be revived. as another prominent sport within the federation as well. So give thanks, people, for the time. It's always a pleasure when we get on this platform and able to talk to you. It was interesting. I know a lot of people are caught up with the election, so we might not have all of the follows that we should have this evening. But I know that some people listen to the repeat, but it's always a pleasure. Give thanks to you guys. Next time we get an opportunity to be here. Alan, I know you're caught up with your elections right now too, so we we're gonna be able to come back maybe next week or some other time and address it, you know. So no respect,
Oh
everybody.
yeah. I've been wanting to talk to Renzo cause he partner is Donald Trump. Okay,
It's,
just a little the last update before you go. 210 to
uh-huh.
112.
But that changing
So
quick time by.
yeah, what you mean? Them an account for so she just pick up what that be 21. Yeah, she just pick up 21 somewhere there.
Yeah, so then you can't really, we can't really, I mean, call since these numbers are coming like that, you can't really just call it like that. Then there still might be some kind of hopes, and so if for those people who are hoping for
Well,
Kamala to win.
the thing of it is, you don't know you're gonna get like California, so that a 50 something you gonna get there.
Hmm.
Yeah, that 50 something you gonna get there. I want to believe he's supposed to get Nevada too. But boy, let me tell you something here. That map you got on a lot of red, boy. My God, pan red pan that map here.
Hmm.
Boy, oh, does yeah. This is a lot of bros, boy. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna see what going on. We're gonna see what going on. Bless up yourself. I was told if
Guy,
I was told if somebody win again Washington, but it don't look like they
hmm.
getting a Washington. What?
Oh gosh. Yeah, people. We keep you up to
Yeah,
date. It's called the topics, and we would have addressed a number of topics this evening. I think it was a quite interesting and informative discussion. I think a lot of people who go back through would be able to learn a lot because we went back into sometimes. I'm sorry that I didn't get a chance to read that same article you're talking about in terms of the 1993, so I could have been more informed and engaged with the discussions in regards to that. But I'm definitely gonna check it out and follow up with it and glean some information because it's really important for our young people um, to really be informed. And so going back through some of these things are very, 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 very helpful. So give thanks.
yeah, man. I like to know the mindset of the framers of the Constitution. Good night, everybody.
Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else choose you instead. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Got up in the morning, took a shot at the rock. And girl, you left my stomach in a knot. Took my lighter.